What is going on, everybody? John Middlekauff. GoLow is the podcast, and today we are going to talk a little golf. The Davis Riley won the Congressional. Scottie Scheffler finished second, but that felt like an afterthought, not just in the golfing world, but in the professional sporting world, with Grayson Murray committing suicide and passing away this weekend after playing in the golf tournament. Grayson Murray was in Texas, played in the golf tournament Thursday and Friday, and withdrew with a couple holes left, and then was dead less than 24 hours later. So, yeah, I don't even know where to start, but I do want to give a couple thoughts on that situation. Then we'll dive into some golf. Scottie Scheffler, the floor. Uh, it just keeps getting higher and higher, and then some DMs from at GoLow Pod. At GoLow Pod is my Instagram. We do it on the football podcast. Take your DMs here. So I wanted to discuss and interact with the people. But before we do that, Gametime, download the Gametime app right now. Tickets to anything, basketball, baseball, football, this upcoming fall. I just read Lincoln Riley was trying to get out of a game with LSU. Well, you can go to that game. He couldn't get out of it, and it's in Vegas. So if you want to go to any game, any event, concert, comedy shows, just download the Gametime app. Use the code John, John, for $20 off your first purchase. $20 off your first purchase. Comedy, concerts, you name it. I'm going to a concert Saturday night. Luke Combs, Glendale. Can't wait. So if you want to do that, do it on us. Download that Gametime app. Promo code John. First pair of tickets, $20 off. I've spent a lot of time. I just drove back from about 3 hours away from my house to the mountains called Pine Top. My girlfriend has a client that she's dealing with a potentially pretty big deal. So I went up with her for a couple days and just kind of hung out, got out of the heat. And before we left, she had an open house, and I was kind of sitting around on Saturday watching golf because I had money on Scottie Scheffler. And this is a tournament that, like most people, Memorial Day weekend, I would check out. I would not pay attention. And after the first day, when Scottie shot two over, I almost just completely checked out and just gave my money away. But he got back into it, and I just turned it on. There wasn't anything else to watch. And news broke that Grayson Murray was dead. And then over the next, I would say, couple hours, multiple players talked on camera during the broadcast with Amanda Balionis. And Peter Malnati, who played with him Thursday and Friday, just borderline, I mean, brought me to tears. I would imagine anyone that saw the clip, it was very, very emotional. And before we dive into the personal stuff with Grayson Murray, I never met the guy. I know a couple people that have. I'm on some golf text chains with people that knew him, and he would always DM back and forth with them, and people liked him. Obviously, he's a very talented player. He won earlier this year, and has been very open in his fight with depression, anxiety, and alcoholism. And on the drive home, I thought so much about, it's funny when you're young, you see people going through mental health stuff or alcoholism. I bet it's safe to say most of us know someone who is impacted by addiction. And whether it's family members, whether it's friends, some sort of acquaintance, someone you work with. And when you're young, you see it, and it's usually through your parents or extended family, but it's really, really hard to comprehend. And as you get older, and I'll use myself as an example, as you get into your 30s, approaching 40, you have people in your own life that you either grew up with, worked with, became friends with, whatever, and you see it firsthand, and you see the power of it. And worst case scenario, and I've experienced this, it takes someone's life, and it impacts you deep into your soul of something that you start asking all these questions that all these players were talking about. Could I have done more? Reach out to this person. And you see Grayson Murray, who had been very open about his sobriety and turning his life around in terms of, one thing with his depression and anxiety. I watched a lot of clips and press conferences from Grayson on Saturday and Sunday. He talked about negative thoughts impacting his life and overtaking him when he was at his lowest. And now up until this week had really helped turned it into a positive. And you look at his resume this year, he has multiple top tens, a win. He just finished top 10 at Quail Hollow 2 weeks ago when Rory won, and he had made $2.5 million. It's not even June. I mean, there was a decent chance where he was on the FedEx Cup. I mean, you could be talking about a $4 or $5 million a year. And you realize how little to nothing that matters. None of it mattered because this guy was dealing with things that he just could not shake. And like I said, I don't have an addictive personality. So I've never had to deal with, like most people, I'm sure anxiety creeps in. I've never really dealt with depression, but I've seen it firsthand with friends and have seen it take someone's life. And when you read or see a story like Grayson Murray, it feels like you know the person, right? And it feels like, oh my God. And the other thing in golf, unlike all these team sports, is if you play for the 49ers or you play for the Lakers, there's a decent chance there's dudes on all these other teams that you don't know at all. Beside, in football, you might play the team once every 4 years. And if you don't work out in the same area in the offseason, you have no clue anything about the guy. Basketball's definitely a little smaller, but still, there are guys that don't have personal relationships or know that much about guys all over the league. Yet in golf, you play in the same tournaments all the time. Anyone who's played at any level, you go to a driving range, if there's a tournament, every single person's on the driving range. And in professional golf, the driving range, the putting green, and the chipping area, it would be physically impossible to not get to know people over the course of several years. And for a guy like Grayson Murray, who first won back in 2017, played a lot of tournaments. So when you see all these guys talk, I can't even imagine Peter Malnati, who played with him Thursday and Friday. That experience, and then getting the news that he was dead on Saturday, it's why I think he was clearly so emotional and overcome. That would have been like, he's never experienced anything like that in his life. And then watching Scottie Scheffler talk after the tournament, this is a good example. Scottie Scheffler, best player in the world by a wide margin. He's like, yeah, Grayson was at my house 2 weeks ago in Quail Hollow. Or I guess the week before, maybe it was the PGA Championship because Scottie wasn't there. He had dinner at my house, came over to the Airbnb for a couple hours. And it might have been because Grayson had gotten very involved with religion, and obviously Scottie and his caddy, Ted Scott, and kind of the crew they run with. Obviously, religion is a major driving factor. Imagine that. Just a couple weeks ago, guy you play golf with, play practice rounds with, just commit suicide. And obviously, we have seen deaths in other sports over the course of, I'll just use my life, 30 plus years watching sports. But I don't remember anything in golf, an individual sport, where all these guys, even if you're not buddy-buddy with the guy, you know them pretty well because of the proximity you have to those people on a weekly basis. And for this guy, his story was well documented, especially the turnaround story of him becoming a better guy and where his life was headed. And then Friday withdraw, Saturday dead, and by Sunday his parents are like, he committed suicide. I just thought the whole thing was very powerful. Obviously, I can't even imagine being in their family situation. I saw a press conference from Grayson, maybe it was a podcast within the last 6 months, just talking about how much his dad meant to him and what it means to turn his life around for his father. And it just shows you that there are some demons that are just so dark, you just can't shake. And it really is a awful. It doesn't get any worse, this story. And with a guy that had a career that looked like it had a trajectory to really go places in the near future, to just ending his life. And I think this is a topic that you're going to see a lot of people talk about in the golfing world the players. The U.S. Open's right around the corner, Memorial. This is not something that's going to go away. And obviously, Jay Monahan talked about Grayson working with him because he had been very critical of the tours. I would say their willingness and thoughtfulness to help guys out through the dark times. And him and Jay became really close, and Jay flew right to congressional. I thought, this isn't something that as a commissioner you have to handle, but in the little I watched him on a press conference, I thought Jay did, an admirable job given the situation and given the severity of the just what was going on, because this is not something that, you know, there's no handbook for this, and just an awful situation. And hope the guy's in a better place, because you just really feel for his family and his close friends. I guess we'll pivot to golf here. Like I said, I had money on Scottie Scheffler last week. He did not play very well beside Saturday when he shot 7 under. He had a decent stretch on Friday, but he had a triple bogey early on Thursday, and then Friday. And like he said after, maybe the Grayson news, getting to know him over the course of this year really rattled the guy. But he did not play very well at all. Never really had a chance to take down Davis Riley, who had a career week. Davis Riley's a guy, when he first came on tour, I used to sneak, put a little pennies on here and there for some top 10s and top 20s. He actually was pretty good early on, and he has not had a good season at all. And that win, could be a game changer. It's the thing with golf. You can be shitty, and all of a sudden win a tournament like that, and your career's off and running. So Scottie finished in a week where I would say he had his, on the aggregate, I'm not talking the individual rounds, B minus game. If it wasn't for a guy, I mean, there's a decent chance that's the only win Davis Riley ever has on the PGA Tour. I would put over under best case for Davis Riley, probably like a 3-win guy. Maybe over the course of a decade, maybe he gets another one, so he's like a 2-win guy. Career week, wins a big tournament, changes the course of his career. Scottie, if that guy doesn't exist, he's in a playoff with Keegan Bradley. And he had a borderline C plus B minus week. I think we're dealing with a different animal here. And this was a thing with Pete Tiger. I didn't watch Jack or Arnie, but some of these historic guys, is their floor. And Phil was like this for a long time in the majors. He was like the Xander on steroids. It's like he's just right there. Right there. I mean, like I said, Scottie bad week. He played in the final group on Sunday. And he got it to 3 early on, and then it kind of flipped, and then it was he never really had a shot. But I'm pretty tempted. I looked yesterday. I've been saying this for a while, and I said this after the PGA Championship is, and it looks like all these charges eventually are going to get dropped. That video of the arrest is a joke. But Scottie right now is under 4-1 to win the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. I looked today. He was 3.5-1. I might have put a little parlay with the Dallas Mavericks and the Edmonton Oilers, who lost a terrible game last night, but that's beside the point. There's a chance if he looks good at Memorial, which is next week, Jack's tournament, or happens to win that tournament, I don't think it's inconceivable that he could be 2-1. If he were to win at Memorial and he has a win going into the U.S. Open, I would imagine it's 2-1 going into the U.S. Open. And I would bet that. I think he's a borderline lock to win this tournament. I really do, especially if by then the situation in Kentucky's resolved, which all signs point to that being the case. But we're watching, like, what Xander's career was incredible. Was always around. He didn't win as much as we thought he should win, but was just an awesome player. His floor was basically higher than everyone else. Right? It's higher than Rory's. It's obviously higher than the Spieths and the JTs and the Cantlays and all those dudes. It's obviously now higher than Rahm's. Rahm and Scottie were the only guys who were clearly better. And then it was like, well, Xander on a consistent basis is a better player than Rory. if they're both on, Rory's going to beat him, but like that's part of golf, right? It's like every single week, are you getting top fives and top tens? And in the majors, are you always around the lead? That's what Scottie is literally every freaking week. If he doesn't win the tournament, you look up, he's like third. And he's not like sixth or 10th or ninth. It's like second, first, second. He's not playing one other person. This isn't match play. This is literally 155 guys every single week. And it's either second or first. Like, it's fucking incredible. He got arrested a couple days ago, or a week, less than a month ago now, three weeks ago. A dude that was hanging out at his Airbnb, a guy he played practice rounds, committed suicide. It's like, I don't know what can throw this guy off. Literally nothing. It's like, yeah, he just hits a couple bad shots, and it looks like he's playing terrible. Then you look at the rest of the field, and they're all falling apart. He's just, it's a remarkable run he's on. It really is. And you remove Tiger, I don't think we've ever seen something quite like this the last 15 years. I know some guys, and he's got to win the majors. We've seen guys win multiple majors in a year. Koepka has, right? At one point in time, he had the U.S. Open and PGA Championship back-to-back years. But Koepka wasn't doing shit in all these random PGA tournaments, right? I think he has like 9 career wins and 5 of them are majors. So I don't know, man. It's been really, really fun to watch. We are this close to crowning an NBA champ. And with action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. There are only so many games left, and DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. Don't miss out, or you'll have to wait until the next NBA season to place your bets. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your squad, and place your first bet. It's that simple. New to DraftKings? Listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5, and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Okay, let's answer a couple mailbag questions. At GoLowPod is the Instagram. Love the pod. Have made some good money following your betting tips. I'm cold right now. I really am. I got to get back on the saddle, and that's why we're going to hammer Scottie. We got to pick someone at Memorial, but we got to hammer Scottie at Pinehurst. I'm coming to Phoenix in October. And note, you always mentioned to play Middlekauff, and was wondering why not TPC Scottsdale. I'm coming from the UK. I would play TPC Scottsdale. I play out there every week. I just say Middlekauff. It's just kind of a unique course, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I actually drove by it today coming back from the mountains. I tell people this all the time. There are 3 public courses that if you really like golf and you're coming here, that most people that I play with that are coming from out of town play, because TPC Scottsdale is my home course. I joined there. So it's just where I play. But most people that come that I play with play there. They play Grayhawk and they play True North. Now, if you want to drive a little farther, Middlekauff and Quintero are pretty freaking awesome. But if you're just in the North Scottsdale area, the easiest ones are TPC, Grayhawk, and True North. Little pricey, but all fantastic. And to me, I like TPC the most because it's like I'm a California kid. Sometimes Arizona golf, if you're a little off, True North is hard. If you're spraying the ball, you're going to lose a lot of balls. Grayhawks, you're not hitting driver off every tee. True North TPC is a legitimate golf course. It's sprayed a little bit. It's got some long holes. It's got some cool holes, but it's much more closer to what I'm used to growing up than desert golf. And desert golf's grown on me a lot. Since Xander's dad said his son won't be chasing Live Tour money, who do you think Greg Norman and company will try to poach next, if any? Seeing the backlash Jon Rahm has gotten and his struggles at the Masters and the PGA, do you think the next first-time major champion winner will take the money and bolt? Seeing that they have the 5 major championship exemption in hand. It's definitely the moment you win a major, right? Like Xander. He bunch of exemptions because he's always finished at top 5 in them. But even if he had never played in a previous major and he won the PGA Championship, he's in all the majors for the next 5 years. Like Bryson's exemption from 2000, what is that? 2020, winning at Wingfoot, is coming to a close. Now, because he finishes second at the PGA Championship, he's definitely in that next year. I think you're also in the couple other majors. I have to give myself a retooling of the rules on the exemptions. But like Michael Block was in this major. He didn't have to qualify because he finished top 15. So Bryson's automatically in the PGA Championship. I do think if you finish top 5 in a major, but Bryson's a bad example because all these majors are going to take him now. I don't know. I think this live PGA Tour situation is going to come to a close, ideally over the next 6 months. Sooner the better, obviously. But shit, what do I know? That could be wishful thinking. Got a few questions for the pod. What are some of the golf podcasts you listen to? I listen to No Laying Up on Sundays after a big tournament. I listen to Shotgun Start. I've been listening to that one. It's pretty good. I've checked out the Fried Egg before. I listened to Hubbard's brother and Joe House, Simmons guy, on Fairway Rolling. I listen to my guys at the Tour Junkies. They do a deep dive on gambling. I'll throw on the Foreplay Boys. Frankie's playing some pretty good golf. I watched a YouTube video. Frankie looks good. I like Dan Rappaport. He's always got some good nugs. I don't think we'll ever see another stretch like we did with Scottie last month. Wins the Masters, wins the RBC, next week has a baby, gets the PGA Championship, shoots a 67, arrested Friday, gets released, shoots 66, shoots a 73 after things had settled down a bit, and it hit him, then goes out on Sunday and shoots 65 to create some noise. Yeah, we're never seeing a player get arrested on a day in a major when they're playing. It's never happened before. It's never happening again. Last one. I think all of the guys that left the PGA Tour for LIV, I think the one the PGA, the fans, and even other golfers miss the most is Bryson. I think Bryson is a great example of a lot happened fast because he's an elite player. I mean, Bryson's a blue chipper. So he gets to the tour really fast. He's a weird guy. And it was a lot for people to handle and felt like he was too weird. Then he got big and started hitting bombs. So he crossed over sports. So before it's just golf people. Like, this Bryson guy's kind of weird. All his clubs are the same size. Has a weird swing. Wears a weird hat. Kind of a quirky cat. And then he gets big like he's playing defensive tackle for the LA Rams. Like, what is going on here? And he crosses over the sports line where casual people start paying attention to him. And then he gets in this thing with Brooks, who's well-liked because he's kind of this cool guy. And everyone kind of sides with Koepka because he's winning majors. Bryson's the nerd. And then he's like, everyone hates me. I'm going to LIV. And since then, he's gotten skinnier again, seems a little more relaxed, is dominating. I mean, he was awesome last year at the PGA Championship. He was right there at the Masters. He easily could have won this tournament. He's still the longest hitter. So, like, what did make him kind of cool, the bombs, he's swinging out of his ass. Even Xander, who, I don't know, top 5 long guy on PGA Tour, is like, I wanted no part of a playoff with Bryson because he hits it so far. I mean, he is just hitting these rope draws. I mean, rope draws. When he misses, you're like, he better hold on for his ass. This thing could go anywhere. But I think people now, I watch his YouTubes. He's just a content creator. He's a content machine. He's fun. And this is what LIV did to the PGA Tour. They took away the people that moved the emotional needle. You can't have a sport league, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey, I don't care what, without people you hate and people that when you bring them up, some people are going to love them, some people are going to hate them. You bring up Jordan Spieth, everyone's going to have a positive thing to say. Beside his game's a little off, but like, oh, I like that guy. You start bringing up live guys, Patrick Reed, Bryson, even Koepka. It's like, what the fuck is that guy's deal? Phil is like, gosh, that guy's crazy. The PGA Tour lost all of that. And Bryson's a needle mover. And it was clear. I saw someone the day after the PGA Championship, they posted all the YouTubes of the press conferences. Xander won the thing, and Bryson had almost 3x the views at his press conference. So, yeah, he's missed. There's no doubt about it. He's a massive, massive star name. His power to me is casuals. Like, everyone that follows golf knows Sergio Garcia or Tommy Fleetwood, right? But what the power of Tiger, the power of Phil, the power when Spieth was big or Rory is that like football fans or basketball people, they just know the name. And they kind of got some idea. Doesn't mean they're watching tournaments, but they're paying attention. And then if on Saturday or Sunday in a major, it's like, hey, Bryson DeChambeau is winning, you'll flip it on. You're not doing that for Tommy Fleetwood. You're not doing that for a lot of random guys. Victor Hovland. I like these players. I'm going to watch it. But the reason golf needs these other people is they get a different crowd. No one's ever done it before and probably ever will do it like Tiger Woods. And when you get Tiger Woods, you're a rocket ship to the bank. And that's what the tour is in a weird spot. And Liv has all these people, but no one cares about what they're doing. So it's just a shitty spot for all. And I'm with you. Bryson's missed. I miss watching Bryson on a weekly basis. I wish Bryson was at Colonial. I wish Bryson was playing at the Memorial. That sucks. We all get the short end of the stick with the separation because we don't get to watch him on a weekly basis because he plays a lot too. That's the thing. It's not like Bryson's playing 10 times a year when he was on the PGA Tour. He played a lot. And you're right. He's well missed.